me. Go to RenegadeAV8R.com. Call my office anytime, 888-3. Oh, my God. We're back. Another Friday. Hello? Let me unmute. See, Ty can hear me. Let me unmute Laura. There's Mrs. Renegade.
Hello.
There's Ty. And we may have somebody else join us. But anyway, as I said 30 seconds before I started this show, I got nothing. I had nothing planned, but we need to put these things out. But I do have a couple things to talk about. And the first thing I want to talk about is you lazy motherfuckers. How about that? That's how I'm kicking the whole show off. Not you per se, but other people. So this week in my travels, I don't know, maybe it was just one of those crazy weeks, but I talked to more people that came up to me and said that I really wanted to be a pilot. I really wanted to fly. But, Laura, you'll know that I was pontificating at some of our own family members that maybe are not pushing too hard or going after things. So what I say this every week, shut up, show up, be excellent, right? Everybody has it hard. Boo-hoo. Everybody has challenges. Boo-hoo. Some people aren't good enough. Some people are too good. Some people know it all. Some people think they know it all. But this is a show about aviation, so I'm going to stick to aviation. And too many people give up. They give up following their passion, getting into aviation. And just this week, I mean, it was Uber drivers. It was people in hotels. No matter where I went this week is what I heard people saying. I really wanted to be a pilot, but
you really want to be a pilot, but became a hairdresser.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody, well, it's just us 20,000 people here talking, but yeah, I think I talked about this on a previous show. We were sitting at a bar and a woman came up and, we all wear our skull t-shirts, which by the way, if you want one, reach out to us. We can sell you one. That's my shameless plug. That's the only shameless plug of the day. But we were out of the bar, and there's this woman came up and said how she always wanted to be a pilot, which is bullshit, first of all. But she said she always wanted to be a pilot, and she wanted to be a pilot so much that when she faced her first rejection, meaning it was expensive, she quit and became a hairdresser. So,
It's a true story.
That is a true story. That's our inside the thing. I quit. So if you want to be in aviation, quitting is not an option, right? It's an addiction for a lot of us, but more importantly, there's opportunities for everybody. So we hear women in aviation, men in aviation, aliens in aviation. There's a spot for you all, but you can't quit. You can't stay away. You have to shut up and be of value. Shut up and put your money where your mouth is. Shut up and show up at the airport. Come out to the airport. We are here at our hangar. And, granted, there's a gate to get through, but not enough people are showing up at airports, showing up at aviation events. On the couple other podcasts I do one for the Moses Lake Air Show. We'll be flying in June. And then I do another podcast, Air Racing Past, Present, and Future. Believe it or not, I am a semi-professional. I can talk. But on both of those, we talk about being part of a solution, right? So the number one thing I hear in aviation is it's too much money. It's expensive. And I say bullshit. I say bullshit to that because, yes, it is expensive if you don't see the value of it. But yes, there's ways to get involved in aviation that really don't require gobs of money. Ty, anything to say to that?
Well, it's my former world when I was a smoke jumper. I hear it all the time is, yeah, I wanted to be a smoke jumper or this and that. And I always look at these people and I go, well, there's two kinds of people in this world, those that go and do it and those who talk about it. And that's about as simple. And they look at me like I'm some kind of dick.
Well, I mean, it goes back to, you're not going to be welcomed with open arms. So I do want to, when I talk to groups of people, I say, don't expect because you showed up one day at an airport that we're all going to welcome you with open arms. It just doesn't happen because we're too busy. Somebody you might know, Ty, said that I was not welcoming enough in the hangar. And I can't see how anybody could say that about me, but I've been called a non-welcoming person. And it's not because we don't want to see people at the airport. We're just busy, we're working. But what I'm getting at is, whether it's, whatever you want to do in life, and this is an aviation show, whatever you want to do in life, number one, decide what it is you want to do. So if I point my finger in your face and go, what is it you want to do? You better be able to tell me. Once you know what it is you want to do, then you need to consistently move in that direction. So in aviation, that means showing up at airports, even if you have no money. When I was a young kid, my parents, we grew up, without a lot of stuff, and we were always well taken care of, always well fed, well clothed. But my dad and my mom and dad didn't have extra money, but we showed up at the airport even when we had nothing. So I will encourage all of you, go to your local airport restaurants, go to the local airport if you want to be a pilot, and then figure it out. I will say this. If you're truly the kind of person that's watching this and really want to get involved in aviation, reach out to me and I'll give you some pointers. I'm not going to do it for you. I'm not going to give you a free airplane ride. That's the first thing I hear from people. Well, can you give me a ride in your airplane? It's not going to happen. But there are people, as grouchy as I can be, Laura's going to smile. I mean, as grouchy as I appear sometimes, that's what we're in this for, is to really help people get involved in aviation. So anyway, I'll start off with that. And I said lazy MFers, basically because it really comes down to that. If you're not willing to shut up, show up, and be excellent, be of value, work with what you have, help somebody besides yourself, you're never going to be successful in anything you do. So it really doesn't matter how much something costs. Yes, aviation is expensive. I'm going to get a bill emailed to me in the next probably 30 minutes. It's going to be very, very expensive. And I'm going to bitch and moan and say, oh my God, look at this. But if you really love something, whatever it is, you got to take the steps. You got to be told no. You got to be told you're not good enough. You got to be challenged. You got to be sometimes insulted. Sometimes it's a smack across the face because we need that reality. Some of the best advice I've ever been given was a smack across the face because I was out of alignment with what I wanted to do. So, enough of this stuff. It's this month for these people and this month for those people. And that just doesn't work in aviation. We love anybody that shuts up, shows up, and is excellent. So anyway, that'll get us kicked off here. What I want to do, as I do every week, is we kind of give you an update of what we're doing, and then we kind of get into some of the news reports of the day. So we just got completed with an avionics upgrade on the air show jet on the TS-11 Iskra. Ty is sitting in front of it, guarding it. The flaps are down and the speed brakes are up for a reason. So before you aviation people tell me that, you left your flaps down and your speed brakes are up, the canopy is also open. So, but we put a whole new avionics suite in there, cut down some of the weight on the aircraft. And as you see, we have new graphics on the jet. I think I showed that a couple weeks ago. We are coming out to several different air shows. I'm not going to go through them right now. But what I am looking to do for those of you in the Reno market, if you're involved with schools or school kids, we want to help the Reno Air Show bring as many school-age children to the Reno Air Show in October, because their goal is to bring, for free, by the way, 6,000 students to their STEM events. It's stemdisco.com. If you go to stemdisco.com, it's down the bottom of my screen. Laura brought it up and took it away. Let them know that Renegade Aviator sent you. But if you're involved in a school or involved with kids or college kids, or anybody below 30 is a kid to me, reach out to me, and let's kind of work together. I have some cool ideas for you. The other thing is I need everybody's. I'm doing this every week, but we send out a bunch of these already. I can't. There it goes. 2 different stickers. If you want one on my dime, send me your address. Go to RenegadeAV8R.com. Send me your address. I'll send you a sticker. There's no charge. I'm not trying to sell you anything, but post it on people that you post it where somebody you don't like. Put this on. Look at that. I look way better with the sticker in front of my face. Look at that. So free of charge. Just reach out for that. I'm going to run through some news stuff here, and then we'll start to comment on it. Here's the first one. I got to share my screen, so bear with me. So I'm going to do this. Everybody watch me do this. Share screen. And all right, here's where I'm starting. Can you see that?
Yes.
FAA grounds a wing walking company. Wait a second. I'm going to read it. The FAA has barred a wing walking company from conducting flights and revoked the owner's pilot certificate, deeming the operation unsafe and reckless, according to a report from the Seattle Times. Here's my question. Who the hell's dumb enough to stand up on top of a wing? Anyone? There was somebody doing this.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, so somebody without training, they're putting them up on the wing of an aircraft. And I don't, I'm not a big fan of ultra regulations. And if somebody's dumb enough to stand on top of a wing and they fall, I'm really not going to cry the blues too much. But the flights, I'm just reading down here, during the flights, most of which cost between $1,000 and $1,400. $1,000 to $1,400 to stand on the wing of an airplane.
Hello.
Do you like it? No? All right, let's go to another one. How about this one? I got another article for you. This one. Wait a second. I got to share my screen again. This is really boring. I get it, guys. Let me try to change this. Present. Okay. I got to go. Hold on. This is what I wanted to show. For those of you that want to be aviators, you better do it quick. And here's why. All the military right now is looking at these autonomous drones. Have you heard of this stuff?
Yep.
Ty?
Oh, yeah.
Autonomous drones. That's going to be the future of aviation, whether we like it or not. So because they can't get aviators anymore, we're seeing it. We're seeing it of the new pilots, nice enough people, no experience, flying jet aircraft that are getting easier and easier to fly. And the military can't recruit enough pilots. I was at an air show, and we had some Air Force cadets. I don't know who the hell they were from, some college, some Air Force ROTC kids. And I said, show of hands, who wants to be a pilot? And there was like 2 out of the whole group. Everybody else wanted to be intel, drone operators, everything but the cool dudes, right? But so here we go. We're getting more and more of these autonomous platforms in aviation. And you know what they're doing here, right? Right, Ty? These things swarm with the aircraft. They fly alongside of the aircraft. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like the wingman. Wherever you go, except it's more than one, and they're basically going to be pre-programmed to go to different targets and execute without putting pilots at risk. So you basically have a single pilot somewhere, and the whole aircraft just is a command and control out to autonomous drones that go out and do their job that where we used to send multiple pilots out to do. So good, bad, indifferent, but what that does is it takes fewer and fewer pilots to go up and fly an aircraft.
Well, yeah. So what they call these things is autonomous collaborative platforms, ACPs. And it's a way to bolster the combat aircraft fleets. And they want to do this by 2030, according to this article. So what's interesting, though, is, China's been doing this for a while. When we were over in China, we got some kind of intel as to these fleets of drones. But they're really looking to, in this new autonomous battlefield, and I'm not the person to be talking about it. I've been going from the military a long time, but this autonomous battlefield gives a whole new, a whole new definition on fighter pilot, right? When you make it easy enough to be a fighter pilot, anybody can do it. And not to put down our current fighter pilots and the men and women that are in our military, but I don't think it's a great sign having autonomous or semi-autonomous or robotic anything killing other human beings. But that's just me. I've killed enough people.
Well, and that's the, does a machine really differentiate targets? I mean, this is one of the major concerns with the Taiwan situation is China is using some of their older airframes and making them autonomous. And you swarm enough targets with obsolete aircraft, it's just sooner or later you're going to run out of bullets.
Well, and it just brings me back to this whole conversation about aviators. So everything I kind of bring up, I kind of stick to a general point, is that I'm really going out, ladies and gentlemen listening, it's my plea. If you want to be an aviator, this may be the last generation of aviators. And I don't want to be a naysayer, but unless we get people out of the airports flying airplanes, we got all this air mobility stuff moving to these drones or these little, what are they, like a helicopter, for lack of a better way to explain it, that actually is flown by a game controller, basically, and they're making taxis out of these things. I'm explaining it poorly, but we're losing this aviator mindset from our airline pilots, our commercial pilots. There's Laura kicking back in. We're just losing the people that are stick and rudder, fly by the seat of our pants, and that just fun flying, right? I mean, I fly corporate jets and we fly air show stuff, but I really miss those days when we just flew small airplanes. And I just fear that with all these drones, with all this influence, and if you're not a military pilot, you ain't anything, because trust me, I fly with military pilots. They may or may not be the greatest aviators in the world. We need to, and the stories I'm talking about, Ty. They love to believe that they are. Trust me. Oh, I flew a fighter jet. Well, yeah, okay. Anyway, and you know what? Hey, it brings me into kind of my next subset here, right? We're never as good as we think we are. So I was flying a series of trips this week, and I'm blessed because I get to fly with many different people. But there's one thing you'll hear me say a lot, and I think you both have heard me say this: slow down to go fast. We had a couple flying days this past week where, they were long days, bad weather, heavy turbulence. And what I caution aviators about all the time is, if you want to go fast, slow down, right? Mm-hmm. Do the checklist, take a breath. If you have an emergency situation, certainly there's not a whole lot you need to do right now, right? You need to figure out what the heck's going on. But I see in aviation, and it's not just young people, it's young and old. And I'll tell you what, there's some guy who's my age, and sometimes it's me. This is where, as I joke and I'm snide and I'm kind of make comments about people, I'm pointing the finger right at myself half the time. Whenever I find myself in the cockpit of an airplane and I'm rushing or I'm trying to get things done super quick, I say to myself, to go fast, go slow, or go slow to go fast. We all love to go fast, But think of remember on these like horror movies, right? So I always bring this up on
Oh,
these
yeah.
horror movies, right? And the girl's run into her car, right? All she's got to do is put keys in the ignition and turn it. And like the evil monster, the demons chase it, right? But because she's Russian, she can't get the key in the ignition and turn it. I see this in aviation all the time. You're on a downwind and you're looking at the runway, but you're all hyped up and you want to get on the ground and you want to call for that visual approach just a little bit too soon. You want to turn in early, or you're rushing while you're taxiing, or as I say to people in the corporate world, once the cattle board the aircraft, go slow. Remember, we rush around. I said this at the airlines, which is why I'm not a good airline pilot. I always used to moo over the PA. So yeah, it was all good fun though. But really, once that door closes, so when I look back at those passengers, once they board on my Gulfstream jet, and I hit the button and close the door, I hop up into the cockpit, I look at whoever I'm flying with, and I say, now let's slow the hell down. They don't give a damn. They're on the airplane. As far as they're concerned, they're flying. So that's the time where we slow down, run the checklist, make sure we have done our brief. I brief my takeoff briefing and my departure brief in the chocks before I start engines. I do it while we're waiting for the passengers to show up. So in aviation, what can we do to be less prone to error? And a lot of times we're more prone to error when we rush. And ladies,
Yes.
yeah, those of you that say, I'm a great multitasker, primarily women will say this, means you're shitty at two things at once. So
Let's see.
you cannot
Stop
make
that.
you cannot make your kid breakfast and answer an email. You cannot make your kid breakfast and do your nails. You know what I'm saying? So whenever we feel, this is an aviation conversation, although it comes into every single day. I notice it myself. When I rush, I make mistakes. We make mistakes enough without rushing. So anyway, any thoughts on that, Ty? I've been pontificating a bit.
No, well, it reminds me of, we go to our, in our program here, we have our 3 strikes. And what that does is it's a check and balance to make sure that you and I and anybody around the jet, and we're all on the same page. Are we on schedule? Are we on a plan? Has something deviated the plan? We did this last summer when we had a visitor in proximity that none of us really liked or want to deal with, but circumstances led to a change in the way we do things, which altered the way we handled things, which immediately caused us to slow down, but at the same time we're under time crunch, which caused pressure, which caused other things to unfold. At that point, I remember you, Dave, saying, we're at strike 1. We are at strike 2. And if we hit this, we're at strike 3 and we're not doing it. And I think that's the kind of stuff, the checks and balances, where, like you said, once the people are in the aircraft, they don't need to know what's going on in the front, but slow everything down to go fast.
Yeah, and you need, in order to do that, you need to have a prescribed flow, a pattern that you go through in aviation or in anything. When I was in the medical industry, I taught what I called aviation level patient safety. We talked to doctors and nurses about this. Have a procedure, have a way to do things that's standardized. And then when you start to deviate from that, that needs to set your hair on the back of your head kind of straight. And you need to look at that and slow the hell down. So errors in aviation are the number one cause of accidents. Number one cause of accident is the pilot in command. And as a pilot in command, I am responsible. I know that's hard for Gen Zers to hear nowadays. I don't, there is no, yeah, but it wasn't my fault. I don't give a shit whose fault it is. It's responsibility. So as that pilot, whether you're flying a J3 Cub, whether you're flying a TS-11 Iskra like I fly, or whether you're flying a corporate jet or an airliner, mistakes happen. So have a backup plan. So Ty, you brought that up. When we're in an operation, an interruption means to stop, reset, and move forward. But interruptions. Anyway, you get the point there. Procedures, profiles, flows, checklists. I see it a lot. I don't know why, but I'm seeing a lot of people rush more than I have before, and I'm not quite sure why. I think it's people just want to get the hell away from me.
Well, then slow down.
I think they're just rushing in the cockpit because they're afraid of to slap their hand.
Did they deserve it?
Probably. I do carry hurt feelings reports with me in the cockpit. So we're coming up on 27 minutes. I do want to mention one thing, and I do want to mention our sponsor, and it's something we're adding to the Iskra. And I'm going to see if I can bring this up here. Let me see if I can do this now. And stop. I'm going to go present. Hold on. I'll bring it up here in a second. Trying to share. If I can't do it in the time allotted, I'll do something else. Share screen. Here we go. Okay. Alpha Systems. Stand by. Okay. These guys, you can see that, right?
Got it. Yep.
All right. So these guys were kind enough to give us a Eagle AOA system. So I'm a big believer in angle of attack. It's when you first start taking your pilot lessons, you talk about stalling the aircraft, right? We can stall an aircraft at any airspeed. I can stall an airspeed. I can stall an aircraft at 400 knots. I can stall an aircraft at 60 knots. It really depends on my angle of attack. So what you'll see from us coming up and in the jet behind Ty there, we are installing the one on the left, that indication on the left. It's a HUD in my cockpit that'll give me indication of angle of attack. Navy jet pilots use this all the time. I have them in my Gulfstream. There's other jets that have them. We fly angle of attack. And we're going to start doing some movies, some videos showing how angle of attack is related to my aerobatic routine at air shows as soon as we finish installing it, which should be any day.
Yeah.
I'm looking any day. Should be just waiting on certain parts. Yeah.
Someday soon.
Someday soon. All right. I'm not going to hasten this conversation any further. Ty, you have anything on your plate you want to bring up?
No. Jets with the avionics in. We're just waiting on a few things on the AOA, and we're going to be firing up the jet here in short order in the next few weeks and getting her ready to go.
All right. Mrs. Renegade Aviator, what about you?
Nope. I've got the assault vehicle behind me here. I moved.
That's right. I saw that.
You may see that at air shows too.
Yeah, I can hear all the feedback from both. I think you're both in the hangar, right?
Yes.
Nobody wants to be with me in this room here. So, all right. So, yeah, look for us coming up. Please like, share. Just look at Renegade Aviator, RenegadeAV8R. You see it up there on the decal. Make sure that you like our pages. Next week, we've got 3 more podcasts, one for air racing. We've got one for Moses Lake, I believe, that we're trying to get set up. And we'll be back again. And I've got some cool stuff to share with you next week from me, the Renegade Aviator, and my crew in the background. For now, this is David Costa. I am the Renegade Aviator. See ya.